Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines. US President Donald Trump, in a written message to Norway's Prime Minister, has said that he no longer feels obligated to think purely of peace because he had not been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and he repeated his demand for control of Greenland. The note, shared widely with other nations by the US administration, was in response to a brief message to Trump from Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre and Finnish President Alexander Stubb, opposing his decision to impose tariffs on European allies over their refusal to let the US take control of Greenland. Greenland's Prime Minister says the Arctic island will not be pressured amid renewed demands from President Donald Trump to cede sovereignty. Jens Fredrik Nielsen said Greenland would stand by dialogue, respect and international law, despite tariff threats linked to Trump's push. His comments follow protests in Greenland and Denmark as tensions grow between NATO allies. Eurozone finance ministers have met in Brussels as tensions with Washington sharpened over Greenland. President Donald Trump has threatened sweeping tariffs on several European countries unless the US is allowed to buy the Danish territory. The European Union is now weighing retaliatory measures, with leaders set to discuss options at an emergency summit later this week. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan says he hopes Iran can navigate what he called a period filled with traps through dialogue and diplomacy. Speaking after a cabinet meeting, Erdogan said Turkey was closely watching attempts to shape events on the streets following Iran's worst unrest since 1979, adding, "Ankara is ready to do whatever is necessary to help ease tensions." At least 7 people have reportedly been killed and 2 Chinese nationals injured in an explosion that struck a hotel in central Kabul. According to Chinese state media and Afghan officials, the blast hit the Shah-e-Noh district, one of the capital's most heavily guarded areas. Authorities say an Afghan security guard was among the dead, while an Italian NGO that runs a hospital in the Afghan capital puts the initial death toll at 7, with at least 13 others injured. Japan's Prime Minister Samaa Takaichi will call a national election on February 8th to seek voter backing for increased spending, tax cuts, and a new security strategy that is expected to accelerate a defence build-up. Takaichi plans to dissolve Parliament on Friday ahead of the snap vote for all 465 seats in the lower house of Parliament, in her first electoral test since becoming Japan's first female premier in October. She promised a 2-year halt to a consumption tax of 8% on food, adding that her spending plans would create jobs, boost household spending, and increase other tax revenues. Chilean President Gabriel Boric has declared a state of catastrophe in 2 regions in the south of the country as raging wildfires forced at least 20,000 people to evacuate and left at least 18 people dead. According to Chile's forestry agency, firefighters were battling 24 active fires across the country, with the largest being in the regions of Ñuble and Biobío, where the government declared the emergency. At least 39 people have died in southern Spain after a high-speed train derailed and collided with an oncoming one, marking the worst railway accident in the country since 2013. The accident left 122 people injured, with 48 still in hospital and 12 in intensive care. Drone footage at the scene showed twisted carriages lying on their side under the glare of floodlights. Some passengers had climbed out of smashed windows, while others were wheeled away on stretchers. At least 27 members of a leftist guerrilla group in Colombia have been killed in clashes with a rival faction in a fight over control of a jungle area in central Colombia. Military authorities said clashes occurred in the rural area of the municipality of El Retorno in the department of Guaviare. The clashes took place between a faction of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, led by Nestor Gregorio Vera, known by his war name Ivan Mordisco, and another led by Alexander Diaz Mendoza, alias Calarca Cordoba.
Over in South Africa, 13 school children were killed when their minibus collided with a lorry near Vanderbijl Park, south of Johannesburg. 3 other children were injured and are being treated in a hospital. President Cyril Ramaphosa offered condolences to the families, calling for stronger protection for learners. Authorities say investigations into the crash are ongoing.
European Union ambassadors have reached broad agreement to intensify efforts to dissuade US President Donald Trump from imposing tariffs on European allies, while also preparing retaliatory measures should the duties go ahead. EU leaders are set to discuss options at an emergency summit in Brussels on Thursday. One option is a package of tariffs on 93 billion euros of US imports. The other is the so far never used anti-coercion instrument that could limit access to public tenders, investments, or banking activity, or restrict trade in services. Billionaire wealth has surged at 3 times its recent pace last year to reach its highest level on record, deepening economic and political divides that threaten democratic stability. Anti-poverty group Oxfam said in a report the fortunes of global billionaires jumped 16% in 2025 to $18.3 trillion, extending an 81% rise since 2020. The gains happened even as 1 in 4 people worldwide struggle to eat regularly, and nearly half the global population live in poverty. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.